This is disgusting. You people have the power to do something. Ohio State is too arrogant. They think it's going to go away. Jim Jordan called me crying, groveling on the 4th of July, begging me to go against my brother. Begging me, crying for a half hour. That's the kind of cover-ups that's going on there. Now, you guys can sit and act like it's not going on, but I got a lot of other stuff here. Emails that were taken out of my mailbox. That's a crime.
Adam DiSabato testified in February 2020 on the accusations levied against Jim Jordan.
4 former Ohio State wrestlers tell NBC News they were sexually abused by a team doctor. Molested by Dr. Richard Strauss, who they allege inappropriately touched athletes' genitals during routine exams and regularly showered with them in a university facility.
I mean, it's public knowledge. I mean, everyone knew within the athletic department that Doc was a serial groper at best.
Several accusers believe it was known by Republican Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan at the time, an assistant wrestling coach at the university from 1986 to 1994. Jordan denies knowing anything about the allegations before accusers spoke out this spring.
Which still remain to this day.
Archie Griffin, be happy where you're at. Keep your mouth shut. That was my idol. He was my idol growing up. What do you think I thought? 18 years old. Jim Jordan called me several times after that. That week, I had to have my lawyer call him, tell him to stop calling me. I had a teammate, George Pardos, I called and told him, call Jim Jordan and tell him to quit calling me or I'm going to beat his ass. That's what I said.
Mr. Chair, may I ask my question?
You may follow up.
Thank you to the witness. What I was trying to say is I appreciate you stepping forward and sharing your story. I know it's not an easy thing to do. And you've mentioned Representative Jordan, and he's publicly stated that, number one, he's been vindicated by the report that was done and that he had no knowledge of any of this activity. How do you reconcile what he's made his statements publicly and what you're saying here today?
He's throwing us under the bus, all of us. He's a coward. He's a coward. He's not a leader. He's a coward. I'm a leader. I was captain of these guys. That's why I'm here. I would never abandon my team. He abandoned us. Our head coach abandoned us. He's flipped his story. He called other people to flip their story. He called Mark Coleman to flip his story. He called his parents, 90 years old. That's the kind of person Jim Jordan is.
Sadly, it's a story of those with knowledge, political power, and evading any sort of accountability. Sadly, it appears a similar tale took place at my alma mater, Indiana University.
I've always voted because I think that voting is a special thing that we have in this country that isn't in a lot of different countries. But I've always voted for the person that I thought was the best for the job. And there's no question. There's no question in my mind that the man sitting between the two of us is far and away the best person to lead America back where we all want to be led. And that's the guy that can do it right here.
Thank you, Coach.
It involves famed coach Bobby Knight and the prestigious men's basketball team. This man, Dr. Bradford Bomba, who served as the team's doctor, and former athletic trainer Tim Garl. ESPN reports that more than 15 players right now alleged improper sexual conduct by Bomba, with prominent names like Bob Knight. Knowing full well it took place, Bomba passed away last month. In March of 2025, when the number of players was much lower, a fifth player said he did publicly complain to Knight in 1979 about Bomba giving unnecessary, trigger warning, rectal exams to players. The players said in their suit they were routinely and repeatedly subjected to medically unnecessary, invasive, and abusive digital rectal examinations by the late Bomba. These exams are usually done when men, as we know, are over the age of 40. So it's weird that this took place. Attorney Kathleen Delaney would represent the IU players. She told NBC this, that what stood out is 2 of the 3 experts that engaged with the firm that IU obtained, Jones Day, stopped short of endorsing Dr. Bomba's digital rectal exams as medically appropriate. Delaney would claim that the investigators did not even interview Bomba. If there was a red flag here, you would be waving it above your head, above my head. The main guy, according to Delaney, you don't interview? If that is true, that is damning. Damning. In the wake of this suit, IU did hire that firm, a private law firm, Jones Day, to conduct an independent review of the allegations. Delaney would name the trustees of IU as defendants in the suit, alleging Title IX violations by the school for failing to protect students. Under Title IX, universities that get federal funding are required to have safety measures to protect students from predators. Bomba is not listed as a defendant, wrote NBC. In December 2024, prior to his death, he would be deposed. And this is important to note. He would invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination countless times. I believe that number was above 40 later on. That is per testimony transcripts. His lawyers tried claiming he was not competent enough to testify. A judge ruled against Bomba's attorneys. Per the suit, Dr. Bomba Sr.'s routine sexual assaults were openly discussed by the Hoosier men's basketball players in the locker room in the presence of IU employees, they would allege, including assistant coaches, athletic trainers, and other Hoosier men's basketball staff. And as you're taking all of this in and reading all of this, if you wish, one detail on top of another that is rather unsettling is that this man, Dr. Bomba, had a nickname, and his nickname was Frankenstein for the freakishly large size of his hand and his fingers. And that takes us now to present day. The release of an outside investigation cleared Bomba of sexual misconduct. And though that happened, guys like Butch Carter, who played at IU, also coached in the NBA, I believe he was with the Raptors, would add his name to those alleging abuse, including him telling Bobby Knight multiple times about this. ESPN reports that last month, an investigation that IU commissioned found that while Bomba did routinely perform those digital rectal exams, those were done in a clinically appropriate manner. Again, this is from the firm that IU hired. And there was no evidence to suggest that Dr. Bomba achieved sexual gratification. There's a gray area here, but moving on. Another attorney representing 10 players would claim she has 2 clients right now whose stories contradict the finding that Bomba's actions were not sexual. See, this is important. One man who played in the late 90s would say that Bomba, and this is via his words, fondled his privates, I don't want this video to get taken down, during a physical. And another man said he was subjected to a rectal exam at Bomba's own clinic when he was a minor in high school. The school now, of course, is arguing that the statute of limitations expired, and in the state of Indiana, per the Four-Letter Network, the state's 2-year statute of limitations for bringing sexual assault claims in civil litigation is, I believe, 2 years, which is porous of the state of Indiana. I'm not surprised. Let me just try to paint the picture of what it was like going to this school, okay? This was the best school that I got accepted to out of high school. My test scores were not amazing. I could have done way better as a high school student. There's no doubt about it. My parents would probably say the same. But once I got in, I knew that the football team was awful, basketball team, legendary. Going to Assembly Hall, legendary. Being on that campus, legendary. I cannot tell you how many professors spoke of Bob Knight glowingly. And this is 18-year-old Ricky, like coming out of high school. I know a lot about sports, but I was still young, didn't know the full story of who Bobby Knight was. And the way that these professors talked about him was godlike. Godlike. And now as I'm reading this, if these allegations are true, he belongs in the shameful Hall of Fame, along with other coaches. He is in there with others who are complicit, if this is true, in aiding and abetting sexual misconduct on the very players that he, I would guarantee, told parents when he sat in their houses, living rooms, etc., that he would protect them. As an alumnus, I am pissed. I am pissed. And I am ashamed of this. You read about all these stories. You know, you read about Penn State, you read about Michigan State, you read about Michigan, and you think, like, God, that's awful, but at least my school, at least I hope, did not have anything similarly. And then the story breaks of the thing that this school is known for, basketball. Branch McCracken, Bobby Knight, Calbert Chaney, Steve Alford, Eric Gordon. The list goes on. And knowing that if this is true, that players complained and they were ignored by the most powerful man in the state. In the state. This is not just anybody's coach. This represented the state of Indiana, Hoosier basketball. The power that this man had. Gross. Awful. Disgusting. I know the stories were bad later on in life. And somehow for Bob Knight, even in death, he sank lower. Brutal. If the allegations are true, I am sorry to the players. And I am sorry that a man who could have stopped it immediately didn't. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.